some delay in terms of voice transmission.
Okay, let me start. Good evening, everybody, and welcome again to SAHAMM's series of lectures addressing the cellular aging, senescence, and what can we do about it, the regeneration of the senescence process itself. Now, if you address the aging itself, then we should be able to extend lifespan as well as to prevent many of the chronic diseases that the humanity is facing now. So today we have Dr. Patana Teng Unwe from Bangkok. Dr. Patana received his medical degree with first class honors from Chulalongkorn University in Thailand 1986, and then he went on to get himself certified in internal medicine and nephrology in 1990 and 92. Then he joined the University of Florida in the field of molecular cell biology, where he earned his PhD in 1998. Dr. Patana is one of the well-known lecturers on the subjects of nutraceutical supplements, cell biology, and anti-aging medicine. He is an assistant professor of the anti-aging and regenerative program of Durak Krijit Pandit University and the organizer of HEAT Anti-Aging Congress in Bangkok. He is also one of the Thai National Committee on Cell Therapy and Regenerative Medicine, and also serves as a consultant for the Thai Chelation Society, as well as the Thai Cell Therapy Society. He is working as a consulting physician for the S Medical Center and Piatai 2 Hospital in Thailand. So let's all give a warm welcome to Dr. Patana. Hi, Patana, the floor is yours.
Hi, hi. Good evening, everybody. The
Good
friends
evening.
unknown. I haven't seen your face, but I feel warm and welcome already. Okay, today's the lectures will be about the biology of aging. Okay, I hope you got the slides already. When we talk about aging, some people say, oh, anti-aging medicine is a soft science, it's not a real science. But if you look at these slides, actually in the year 2013, a group of scientists has gathered together and published. The publication is called 9 Hallmarks of Aging, and they are all super scientific, as you can see. Genomic instability, telomere attrition, epigenetic alteration, loss of proteostasis, deregulate nutrient sensing, mitochondrial exhaustion and dysfunction, cellular senescence, stem cell exhaustion, and outer intracellular communication. But it sounds difficult, right? I just want to start this slide to make you know that actually they are super scientific subjects. And anti-aging medicines have to attack all these 9 hallmarks of aging. But fear not, today I will make things easier for you and will be conclude into only 6 factors of aging. We all know this aging syndrome. We don't think that it's a disease, right? Otherwise, we will have this disease because aging syndrome is a progressive process. It starts by the cellular aging and one cells after another. It's an accumulation of the cellular decay, the one that we say hallmark of aging. And we have so many cells and contribute together. That's why we are aged. And it's contribute to the disease. The most common one of the aging people is called non-communicable chronic disease or NCD, such as hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cerebrovascular disease, chronic lung disease, chronic kidney disease. And people think that, okay, it's normal that when we get old, we're going to have to develop these diseases. I quite disagree. If you understand the biology of aging, hopefully you can extend and wait. You don't have to have this disease. And you can live and stay healthy until the last day that your life allow you. Cancer is not a feature of aging syndrome. And in August, Saturday, we will talk about some immunities and aging because I like to put it now that immunity is our best defense. One thing that I find it is that when people are aged, because my patients, a lot of them are over 90 years old, they will frail. It means they have sarcopenia and the muscle mass decrease. So I think these syndromes that we need to prevent, and we have to prevent now when we're still young. In order to do so, we need to understand aging's biology. The problem is right now we wait until we get old and we go to see geriatric doctors. So what's wrong about the doctors that try to treat aging people? Organ specific. Okay, some aging people have to see 6 doctors because every organs are failure, right? Have to see lung doctor, kidney doctors, heart doctors, diabetes doctors, neuro doctors, and end up every doctor prescribe certain medicines. More medicines means more diseases. Old people cannot tolerate a huge amount of medication. And these days, the doctors treat laboratory results. I just get consult yesterday from my colleagues. She's the internist. She complained that I don't follow the guideline and say why? Because the patients once have cardiovascular disease, you need to keep LDL cholesterol less than 100. And I say, I always have her LDL cholesterol less than 100 with small amount of medications. And she said, today, your patient LDL is 103, supposed to be less than 100. Now it's 3 mg% more. This is what happens to doctors nowadays. They don't look at the patients. The patient herself has some things called GERD. So she's stressed, she cannot sleep. So when she cannot sleep, her LDL cholesterol goes up. And the doctors don't understand and try to prescribe more drug. And that is the problems about how we treat the elders. And do they know that in the elders, lower LDL mean higher mortality, especially in women? Because doctors are not aware of drug side effects in elderly, they never know how to prevent these diseases or even know how to do the early detections. All they do is give drugs and drugs. I find that elders cannot tolerate drugs. And a lot of patients, once I cut down the medications, and then one day they woke up. They came to me in the state of comatose. They were comatose. And when I reduced certain antidepressants and all the drugs, the patients who has been sleeping for years and now awake, okay? The doctors don't know how to give the right kind of nutritional advice. They don't understand the meanings and benefit of nutraceutical supplements. They never encourage exercise. They don't know holistic medicines. And the worst part about geriatricians, the geriatric doctors, and I'm not talking about all of them. I think you in this room, you understand this word, empathy. Empathy means you have to put your heart, think about if you are the patient yourself, what will you do? So this is a problem about medicine nowadays. People don't understand biology of aging. So if they don't understand it, how can they prevent it? I told you about 9 hallmarks of aging syndromes. I'm gonna make it easier for you. So when you look at them one by one, you know how to prevent aging. I will conclude into 6 steps. 6, okay? 6 aging force, that's what I say, aging force. And I make it easy when I lecture my students, I call it ox, go into acid stress. So I hope you follow me. Ox, go into acid and stress, 6 factors, okay? What is ox? Ox is oxidative stress. Go is glycation's end product. In other words, sugar is toxin. In is inflammation. 2, toxin. Acid, which is acidosis and stress. And today for 1 hour and a half, I will start talking about how to combat these 6 factors. But since the time is limited, I cannot go through everything in detail. So I hope you understand ox go into acid and stress, and you will be able to combat this aging process and stay healthy, stay young as long as you can. What happened with these aging forces? Ox go into acid and stress. It causes our cells to get old. And cellular aging, I like to divide it into 4 things: mitochondrial decay, apoptosis, cellular senescence, and mutation. So I'm not talking about 9 hallmarks of aging. I'm talking about these biology of aging. The ox go into acid stress is the aging force that causes cellular aging. These factors cause mitochondrial decay, apoptosis, cellular senescence, and mutations, in other words, cancer. Start by oxidative stress. It happens in our mitochondria. It's been around for a long time. That's called free radical theories of aging and mitochondrial decay, because aging is an accumulation of decay and deleterious change produced by oxidative stress. And it happened in mitochondria because our mitochondria function is to metabolize and make energies, okay, from acetyl-CoA that come from sugar, from fat. So mitochondria make ATP for us and at the same time create oxidative stress or reactive oxygen species. That's why mitochondria need to have antioxidant of its own. It's called coenzyme Q10. So if you want to stay young, the first rule to slow your mitochondria is eat less, live longer. So the first rule to prevent oxidative stress for me is eat less, live longer. So that's way you can reduce reactive oxygen species. But if you're already old and you know your mitochondria has been decaying, what can you do? The study in mice show that endurance exercise can prolong longevities and cause and help you with the mitochondria rejuvenation. So say exercise is great. However, it has to be endurance exercise. It means heavy combinations of both weight training and aerobic exercise together in one. Okay, you don't have to do it every day, but try to do it at least 2 or 3 times a week if you want your mitochondria to keep going. When we talk about eat less, live longer, all anti-aging doctors know this term is called caloric restrictions. It means you minimize your calorie intakes to be like less than 1500 a day. Not easy to do. Carbohydrate should be high fibers or low glycemic index carbohydrate, okay? And fat should be healthy fat such as olive oil. Not easy to do, not easy to do caloric restriction, but does it work? Look at these 2 monkeys. They are twins. This is a famous publication, the classic one in Science. Year 2009. These monkeys are 27 years old. They are twins, but on the left-hand side, he was eating as much as he can. Animals, if you give them food all days, they will eat all day. On the right-hand side, these monkeys with lockdown and cannot eat. Okay, it's not like us being locked down during the COVID and eat all days. Okay, so we are just like animals on the left. So you can see that they are twins, but they don't look alike. Monkeys on the right-hand side looks young. The hair is not gray. They don't have any, bucket under their eyelids, no eyelid pads or anything. So this is proof in monkeys And it can be proved in human as well. People who eat less will stay young and live longer. But we are human. We find a way to cheat. Dr. Patana, I already ate some things. I already ate my favorite pasta. How can I cheat the body that I haven't eaten anything? Then we need to understand the biologies of eating. When you eat, the body will stimulate insulin, and then it will stimulate insulin receptor substrate. It will inhibit FOXO to enter the nucleus. FOXO is the good transcriptional factors. It helps promote good genes in the body, such as antioxidant gene. To bypass this process, the body has another protein called sirtuin, which is a mediator of caloric restrictions. It means if you already eat and you already inhibit your own FOXO1, you can stimulate your sirtuin and pretend that you haven't eaten anything and stay young. The famous scientist has discovered that to stimulate sirtuin, you need these small molecules called resveratrol. The name is caloric restriction mimetics. This natural polyphenolic compound, the guy who discovered is called Dr. Sinclair, okay, and it's the polyphenolic compound found in red wine, grapes, blueberries, and peanuts. Could be the reason why French people eat cheese and red wine and stay young. They call it French paradox. So resveratrol right now has become the famous nutraceutical supplements because it's a caloric restrictions mimetics, because everybody loves food. But they want to do something called caloric restriction, so they eat and take resveratrol instead. What resveratrol do is upregulate, besides sirtuin, is upregulate antioxidant enzymes such as superoxide dismutase, catalase, glutathione peroxidase. It also upregulates anti-inflammatory enzymes such as the NERV2, which is a transcriptional factors, upregulate AMPK, just like the actions of metformin to help burn fat, even upregulate PPA gamma co-activators, nitric oxides, and G6PD. At the same time, resveratrol will down-regulate COX-1, INOS, all the bad oxidative stress enzymes. So the first rule of aging, eat less, live longer, do caloric restrictions, but if you cannot do it, take resveratrol. Resveratrol also stimulates AMP, activated protein kinase, which has so many wonderful functions. It inhibits mTOR, it stimulates autophagy, and it induces apoptosis in cancer cells. All right, so we need to stimulate AMPK, AMP activated protein kinase. But if you don't like resveratrol or you don't have resveratrol in your country for whatever reason, there's another medicine that's been around for a long time. It's called metformin. Metformin is diabetic drug. And now if you read articles, they say metformin is also anti-aging and anti-cancer drugs. For some of you who don't have diabetes and want to take metformin as an anti-aging medicines, you need to understand the side effect, very little of metformin. The side effect of metformin, first, lactic acidosis is not serious unless you have serious kidney failure. So for normal people with a normal kidney, you don't have to worry about lactic acidosis. If you want to take metformin, please do low dose, especially you don't have diabetes. To me, when patients want to do metformin, first I check their hemoglobin A1C. If it's above, let's say 5.8%, then I might consider metformin. Someone like me, I always do caloric restrictions, intermittent fasting, so my hemoglobin A1C will be 5.1. I don't need metformin. I only use resveratrol. Okay, So metformin, I think it should be used for people who have a high blood sugar. They may not have diabetes, but if they have high blood sugar, high A1C, slightly high, you may consider metformin to stimulate AMP kinase. All right. The other side effect of metformin is the vitamin B12 depletion. So please supply the patients who take metformin with vitamin B12. It could be the vitamin B1, 6, 12 or multivitamin B to make sure that you provide the patients with vitamin B12. And then side effect, metformin will be none. All right, we start with the caloric restrictions, resveratrol or metformin. But for some of you say, hey, Dr. Patana, you cheating. I cannot do caloric restrictions because I'm hungry all the time. What can I do? And you know, food means deliciousness. Food means happiness. Imagine you want to set up a party, and you say, oh, today we're gonna do caloric restrictions party. No one will show up. Any of you who ever come to Thailand and visit my HEAT Congress meeting, you know that we provide you with abundance of food. And we want you to eat it. So what can you do? If you already eat your food, you don't want to take metformin, resveratrol because the effectiveness is not as good as caloric restriction. Try this one. We call intermittent fasting. There's no chemical inside you. All you have to do is learn to quit eating from time to time. Okay, I think it's more practical approach to caloric restrictions. In this regimen, okay, remember this. Every day, ask yourself what the first time that you eat your food, breakfast, note it. The dinner, write it down what time. You need to have a period of 12-hour fasting every day. It means if you finish your dinner at 8 p.m., your breakfast cannot come before 8 a.m. During that time, 12 hours, you cannot eat anything, but you can drink water, nothing. You can eat only calorie-free food. Water, for example, tea without sugar, beer has calorie, alcohol has calorie, so it's not called intermittent fasting, okay? Intermittent fasting means no calorie. You do it 12 hours every day or almost every day. And then if you want to lose weight, if you want to go further, I recommend you do 16 hours, 2 or 3 times a week. What is 16 hour intermittent fasting? You eat your breakfast late and you eat your dinner sooner. Sometimes you do it only twice. You eat meals only twice a day. For example, if you finish your dinner at 6 o'clock, 16 hours, that means you can have breakfast at 10 a.m. next day. That's 16 hours. Okay. Well, I don't want to miss my breakfast. Then you need to have your dinners sooner, or you have to skip your dinners. 16 hours, 3 times a week. Okay, right now I'm doing the 16-hour intermittent fasting 5 times a week. No problems at all. What happens is your bodies will have mild ketosis. Okay, ketone is good for you. If it's mild, it's not going to cause ketoacidosis because ketone can switch into bicarbonate. And now the studies in New England Journal of Medicine shows that intermittent fasting may be the perfect way to kill your diabetes. So let me repeat. So you have 8-hour eating window and you have 16 hours with the calorie-free food. It's easy to do. It's easy to do 16 hours a day that you don't eat. And I ask you only 3 times a week. Someone want to go further to like 23 hours intermittent fasting, fine with me. You can try that. I mean, you eat once a day. But before you go through the 23 hours, some doctors say, we have to do 23 hours intermittent fasting. Then I asked the doctor, have you ever done intermittent fasting? And she said, no, it's in theory. Try it yourself before you recommend anyone. I find that 16-hour intermittent fasting is easy. But 23 or 24 hours intermittent fasting is more difficult. I can do it only once a month. Okay, so let me repeat. If you cannot do caloric restrictions, you want to take resveratrol. If you have high blood sugar, you may want to take metformin. But you don't want to take any drugs or supplements, then you need to do intermittent fasting, 12 hours every day, 16 hours, 3 times a week, and hopefully you can do 23 hours once in a while. During that times, you need to know that your body will develop ketosis. What happened in terms of physiological effect of intermittent fasting? You know, when you don't have sugar load, you don't eat anything, your blood sugar comes down. What happens is the body will stop making insulin. So your pancreas beta cells now can take a break. But it will make something called glucagon and growth hormones to increase blood sugar back to normal, so you never develop hypoglycemia. You will have mild ketosis. Fear not, ketone will switch to bicarbonate later on, and ketone, the brain can use ketone. So you will feel like Thai, something we call keto flu. Don't worry about it. During that time, if you worry about acidosis, okay, you may take mineral water, which is alkaline water. You can drink only mineral water. Please don't do reverse osmosis water because it's acidic. You can do light exercise. Light exercise, okay? Don't worry about, well, I don't have food in my stomach. Can I do light exercise? You can do light exercise. Even diabetes patients can use this method, okay? But be careful. If you already take some oral hypoglycemic agents, you probably have to eat something. Okay. What happened? Another effect of intermittent fasting is it stimulates autophagy and inhibit mTOR. mTOR is a growth factor. It helps cells to divide and divide. mTOR is necessary for the body to make a repair, to repair itself, but also it's the one that causes cancer to grow, cancer cells to grow. So we want mTOR when we sick and want to fix and repair our body, but we don't want mTOR all the time. And we need autophagies. You know that scientists who discovered the mechanism that called autophagies has won Nobel Prize 4 years ago. What is autophagies? Make it simple. It's the recycle of your cells. Autophagies mean all the junk in your cells will be used back to make amino acid, to make glycogen, sugar, and everything during the state of fasting. The body would try to melt fat and junkyard and make a new proteins and new cells out of it. It's called autophagy, recycles junk in your body. Wow, so perfect. You can see, so that way, when you do intermittent fasting, you intermittent autophagy. We cannot live in the state of fasting all the time. We need mTOR to repair our body, and we need autophagy to recycle our body as well. So it's a perfect method of mTOR autophagies and mTOR autophagies alternately. And that's another hallmark of aging. When we get old, we lost our proteostasis. So when we older, we have accumulations of toxins in our cells that never get away. As you know, some aging people have something called lipofuscin in their skin. Their skin has a lot of spot. Okay, so try that, because intermittent fasting will stimulate autophagies, and that's the way that you can control your proteostasis. It's in balance of your life. I've done autophagies for about 3 years now. It works very well. Okay, I think it just gets rid of my sagging face or everything. So I'm looking younger every year by doing intermittent fasting. And because it's inhibit mTOR, it means intermittent fasting can prevent cancer. mTOR, or mammalian target of rapamycin, is the kinase proteins. It's part of the growth factor system that we need to repair ourselves. The body needs mTOR, but not all the time. So you need to know that mTOR is essential. Autophagy is essential. We don't need mTOR all the time. It means you don't eat all day. You eat and then you stop. So you need 12 hours intermittent fasting to stop mTOR. Better yet, 16 hours, 3 times a week to stop mTOR. But don't recommend intermittent fasting when the body needs mTOR activations all the time, such as pregnant and lactating women. There's a baby grow in their wombs. Don't ask them to do intermittent fasting. It's not the time. And children, they need to grow up. You don't want them to have a stunt growth unless they've already fat. So intermittent fasting cannot be recommended in children. In heavy exercise, people like they're gonna go to the Olympic. It's not time for them to do intermittent fasting, but sometimes they want to lose weight before they go training. You can do intermittent fasting during period of the training, but not while they need to do competitiveness sports, okay? During the infections and malnutrition process, we don't recommend intermittent fasting. I heard the stories today. One of my students, she so afraid of getting fat, so she do combination of caloric restrictions, intermittent fasting, and everything. So she ended up have a state of malnutrition. She also vegan, and right now she has osteoporosis, a vascular necrosis of femur, and that's too much. Okay, so fasting is good, but not always good if you need mTOR to repair your body. This study shows that you can use intermittent fasting to treat diabetes. Okay, these people, okay, asked to eat only once a day and do intermittent fasting, eat once a day during the dinner time. Unfortunately, not many people can survive this method. Maybe only few of them, but all 3 of them that I'm going to show here show that they can cure diabetes with intermittent fasting. Their hemoglobin A1C coming down, all 3 of them. And so I encourage anyone who have diabetes to start doing intermittent fasting. If it's not good enough, you can add metformin, probably already taking, or you can add resveratrol in your regimen. So intermittent fasting is the perfect answer for caloric restrictions. Another way to combat oxidative stress in mitochondria, besides caloric restrictions, intermittent fasting, endurance exercise, is mean you have to have food with antioxidants, which is mean different colors, colorful vegetables and fruits. The body defense against oxidative stress require antioxidant system. I'd like you to look on the left-hand side, okay, the O2 dot, we call superoxide. It happens when the body make energies in the mitochondria. The mitochondria will make superoxides. It can be switched by the enzyme called superoxide dismutase into hydrogen peroxide. And from that, hydrogen peroxide will use glutathione and an enzyme called glutathione peroxidase to switch hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. So we have to start by having antioxidant in our systems as a reducing agents to reduce the amount of superoxides. You can eat fresh fruits and vegetables. In my case, I use vitamin A, C, E, and best one is coenzyme Q10. I use zinc to stimulate superoxide dismutase, and I have NAC and selenium to stimulate glutathiones and glutathione peroxidase. So this is my favorite antioxidants for the mitochondria. It's called coenzyme Q10. Okay, there's 2 forms, ubiquinone, which is oxidized form, and ubiquinol, which is a reduced form. You can take it in ubiquinone, it will switch into ubiquinol, don't worry yet. Ubiquinone can be made in our body from amino acid called tyrosine, and it will need SAHAMM as well. But when we grow older, after 40 years, our coenzyme Q10 coming down. So I recommend that all of you start taking coenzyme Q10 supplement, especially in people who need to take statin drugs. Okay, not everyone needs statin, by the way, but if you need statin drug, you need coenzyme Q10, because by inhibiting HMG-CoA reductase, you will also reduce the precursor of coenzyme Q10 production. This is called farnesyl pyrophosphate. There's so many studies show benefit of coenzyme Q10 and the organs that require energies. the organ that need mitochondria. So for the heart failures, you need coenzyme Q10. For adrenal fatigue, you need coenzyme Q10. For dementia, you need coenzyme Q10. As I mentioned before, coenzyme Q10 is the antioxidants for the mitochondria, but usually it's supplied in the form of oxidized coenzyme Q10 called ubiquinol. You want to switch coenzyme Q10 into ubiquinol, which is a reduced form. The body would do that because the body have a reducing substance by itself. But if you want to enhance the effect of mitochondria, I recommend people to use lipoic acid. Someone asked me why not vitamin C. Vitamin C stays in the fluid phase, like blood, but doesn't go into the mitochondria or into the lipid, okay? Coenzyme Q10 has been shown to reduce lipid peroxidations, LDL peroxidations, and lipoic acid will help revitalize your coenzyme Q10 from getting degraded. This is a wonderful antioxidant. It works in the fluid phase, it works in the lipid phase, works in the cell, works in the cell membrane, and works in the mitochondria. It works everywhere, it goes everywhere, lipoic acid. However, I recommend in the form of R-lipoic acid antioxidant because it prevents any side effect they call pinprick sensations on your skin. Not like the alpha form that can cause pinprick sensation on your skin. I prefer something called R-lipoic acid. It also inhibits NF-kappa B, which is a cause of inflammation. So that's it. The first step, aging force, oxidative stress. That's how you prevent oxidative stress. The second one we call GO, advanced glycation end product. It's the sugar is toxin. To make it simple, when you eat sugar, sugar form bonds with the proteins during this process and make the proteins degraded easily and dysfunctions. It's the reasons that people who has diabetes, high blood sugar, has problem with their eye because the sugar will form bonds, glycation end product with crystalline enzymes. And at the end, they have to change their lens, right? Also, advanced glycation end product can cause inflammations because the receptor for it is called receptor for advanced glycation end product will stimulate NF-kappa B and cause inflammation and vasoconstriction. And that is the reason that people who have diabetes develop vascular complications. How to measure? How can you measure advanced glycation end product? The simple one is called hemoglobin A1C. The same things that people who have diabetes measure every 3 months. And people think that, oh, you don't need to measure A1C unless you have diabetes. It's not true. I hope that everyone in this room know their hemoglobin A1C level, even though they don't have diabetes. Why? Because hemoglobin A1C, based on these Norfolk studies, show it tells us our mortality rate. You don't have to have diabetes. Diabetes patients have A1C higher than above 6.5%. But even A1C above 6% indicate you have a better chance to die compared to people who have A1C 5.5 to 6%. I tried to reduce my hemoglobin A1C by reducing sugar. And in the past, my hemoglobin A1C is like 5.8 and now became 5.6, 5.4. And last time I checked, my hemoglobin A1C is 5.1. Again, we always cheat biology of aging. We always cheat aging force, like I show you resveratrol. So how can you cheat with this A1C thing? Scientists show that these two active forms, special form of vitamin B, may be able to reduce advanced glycation end product. The first one is benfotiamine, actually is the vitamin B or thiamine that have a higher bioavailability. And the second one is a pyridoxamine, which is also vitamin B6 or pyridoxine that have higher bioavailabilities. You can take a look, so many studies of benfotiamine and pyridoxamine, and both of them right now has been registered as a drug to prevent diabetic complications. But in certain countries like Thailand, we can be able to use it as a supplement. So to reduce GO, advanced glycations end product, you have to know sugar is toxin. There's so many studies that drinking sugar sweetened beverage can increase mortality rate, and even 100% fruit juice also contains sugar and is not helpful. Okay, sugar drink tied to cancer risk and diabetes. So the first rule I told you before, to reduce oxidative stress, remember, eat less, live longer. The second rule, to reduce GO, advanced glycation end product, remember, sugar is toxin. And with artificial sweetener, people who drink or use artificial sweetener tend to love and have sweet tooth. After they do this, they will start eating sugar anyway. To eat carbohydrate, you need to understand there's something called high glycemic index. Sugar has high glycemic index. You need to find carbohydrate with low glycemic index. On the other hand, in other words, it's called fibers or carbohydrate with fibers. If you eat white rice, it's simple. Mix your white rice with vegetables. Mix it together. It will lower the glycemic index down because of fibers. Okay. Choose carbohydrate with high fibers. I know some of you want something artificial all the time. This is one I don't recommend though. But you know, there's a package, something like the prebiotics fiber. So during the meals, and someone just put this in water and keep drinking it. All right, if you want to do everything artificial, fine. But I think on the left-hand side, on the left-hand pictures looks much better and more delicious. It means just like what your mom used to say, eat your vegetables and fruits, right? Fiber is not nutrients because the body actually don't need it. But actually, if you don't have it, you will die. It's essential to life, even though it's not one of the nutrients. You know, when you learn about nutrients, you learn about carbohydrate, proteins. And when we talk about carbohydrate, we talk about carbohydrate that can be digested and give us energy. Fiber actually is a complex carbohydrate that stays in our guts. It's not digestible, but it's a food for your bacteria, for your microbiome, for your good bacteria that's called probiotics in your gut. So you need to eat your fibers, preferable in the natural form, like vegetables and grains. But some people want artificial fibers, fine. There's so many studies shows now that dietary fiber is good for your health. It helps reduce glycation end products and risk for diabetes type 2. This is my favorite food, grains. Besides, it contains high fibers. It's delay gastric emptying time, it's low sugar absorption, it means it's lower glycemic index. It also prebiotics, the food for good bacteria in your gut. Grains such as corn on the carbs, cashew nuts, almond nuts contain minerals, vitamins, omega-9. Omega-9, okay, it's not essential fatty acid in the terms of nutritionists, but it's so essential for your life, your heart. Eat your grains. In my house, I always have these grains around. When I'm hungry, I don't know what to eat. I eat these grains, almonds or cashew nuts, whatever. Whole grains reduce inflammation and supply your gut microbiome. So I told you 6 biology factors of aging, 6 aging force. Ox go into acid stress, right? We finished with the ox go, and now we go to the next topic, inflammations or infection, which is the same. You may know that inflammation is true underlying pathogenesis of non-communicable disease. Okay, by the way, you want to learn more, you can check at this heat anti-aging. Underlying pathogenesis of NCD is a chronic inflammations. Cancer people have inflammations, diabetics have inflammations, cardiovascular disease is definitely inflammations. And one reason that we have inflammation is called fat in our guts, the visceral fat. So these visceral fat make inflammatory cytokines and spread through our body, cause inflammation because fat cells synthesize pro-inflammatory cytokines. Obesity is the cause of inflammations. How to reduce obesity? Besides intermittent fasting, caloric restrictions, and reduce sugars that you eat, you need to exercise. It's a wonderful thing to exercise, and remember, endurance exercise increase your mitochondria longevities. So start exercise now, okay? Good exercise should be endurance. It's a combination of weight-bearing exercise and aerobic exercise. What about food? It's so important you understand anti-inflammatory diet. Avoid simple sugar, more grains, more fibers, more vegetables. Avoid overheated or processed food. Cut down dairy products. Milk may be highly nutritious, but it also contains omega-6 arachidonic acid that is the cause of inflammations. Use prebiotics and probiotic. Gut, okay, gut is the source of inflammation, and you need to understand what is anti-inflammatory oil, because the oil, fat that you use for cooking may be the one that causes inflammation. So ask yourself what kind of cooking oil that you use. You need to know anatomy of your cooking oil. Saturated fat, if it's come from plant, such as coconut oil, fine. But if it's come from animal, such as pig oil or pork or lamb, it contains arachidonic acid that causes inflammations. For vegetable fat, you have to choose the one that high in omega-9, not the one that high in omega-6. So when they ask me what kind of cooking oil you use, they tend to answer me, vegetable oil. Not good enough. Not good enough, because vegetable oils can be soybean oil, which is omega-6, 100% omega-6. That causes inflammation. It should be omega-9 at least. So my suggestion is called olive oil and rice bran oil. Let's look at the anatomy of unsaturated fat. This is a major source of inflammation. We have omega-6, omega-3, and omega-9. Omega-6 can switch into arachidonic acid found in something like soybean oil, arachidonic acid found in animal fat. These are two things that you need to cut down. You cannot avoid it completely, but cut it down. Omega-3 is a fish oil. For people for some of you are true vegetarians and cannot take fish oil supplement, I recommend flaxseed oil. Okay, flaxseed oil, because it contains ALA, alpha linolenic acid. However, the body have to make fish oil, which is the EPA and DHA out of it. So if you don't mind to take fish oil, take fish oil, okay? However, fish oil has so many double bonds in it, it's not steady. Please keep your fish oil in the refrigerator and use high concentrated fish oil, high concentrations of EPA and DHA. Finally, this is the best oil, omega-9 oil, such as olive oil and rice bran oil. So many studies now have proven Mediterranean diet and olive oil can prevent cancer, can prevent Alzheimer's, and can prevent heart disease. And I hope besides grain, now you need to have olive oil in your home for salad cookings and for your cooking sauce. Let me repeat this. So 3 sources of prostaglandin. You take something like evening primrose oil or borage oil, which is also the omega-6 oil, but it's called gamma-linolenic acid. It's the source of prostaglandin E1, which is a good prostaglandin, help vasodilation. That's a good one, but usually we don't use borage oil for cooking because you will develop diarrhea. But if you take too much, it will switch to the arachidonic acid, so it's not good. However, most of you not gonna take evening primrose oil or borage oil too much because it's expensive. So don't worry about it. If you do evening primrose oil supplement, fine with me. What you need to avoid is use soybean oil for cooking because it will switch to the prostaglandin E2 and F2 alpha, which is a bad eicosanoid, bad prostaglandins, cause inflammation and cause vasoconstriction. The good oil is omega-3 oil, such as fish oil, flaxseed oil. EPA is a source of prostaglandin E3, which is the less inflammation oil. It's not easy to know fish oil. Would you say, I eat fish, may I get fish oil? Yes, but now fish that you eat in your food, nowadays are farm-raised. So it's not like it will not contain a lot of fish oil. The content of fish oil in fish nowadays is much less because it's a farm-raised fish. Small fish barely have any fish oil. So I suggest that you take fish oil supplement. This is a sample of the brand name of fish oil available in Thailand, but in your countries the name will be different. To buy fish oil, please take a look at the content percentage of EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. Don't come to ask me, this fish oil is good, 1000 milligrams of fish oil is not good enough again. You need to look at the content, the amount of EPA and DHA. The ratio should be 6 to 10 at least. What do I mean? It means if you buy the fish oil, they say 1000 milligrams of fish oil, the amount of EPA plus DHA in that 1000 milligrams have to be at least 600. Okay, understand? If you buy 1000 milligrams of fish oil, the content of EPA and DHA together has to be higher than 600. That's a better fish oil. But if you do the standard fish oil, the amount of EPA and DHA will be only 300, which is mean 3 to 10. It's not concentrated enough. It would not raise the level of EPA in your blood. And the studies show fish oil can help your telomere to get longer. It means aging less. And also the level of EPA is associated with healthy aging. This study shows that if you have higher level of EPA, you have a less chance to develop heart disease and other disease and cancer. This is, you can read it at the BMJ, okay? So I do this testing during my HEAT anti-aging congress last year in Bangkok. I test 30 people and check the EPA level in the blood. And also I check for arachidonic acid level in the blood. The ratio of arachidonic acid level and EPA should be, after that, should be less than 4. It means you cannot have arachidonic more than 4 times compared to EPA levels. And the result shows that these people, these are doctors, anti-aging doctors, look at their arachidonic EPA ratio in men. Most of them have ratio higher than 4. It means they eat too much omega-6. So all use bad fish oil supplement or no fish oil at all. So they just talk, I'm an anti-aging doctors. But when they look at the ratio of arachidonic acid and EPA and say, no, you're not good enough, you're supposed to have the level, the ratio of arachidonic acid and EPA to be less than 4. You see one person who have the ratio less than 4, 3. That is me. So I'm the one who passed the test. My ratio of arachidonic acid and EPA is 3, which is mean I don't have inflammation. Women is the same, okay? Men and women, they have the ratio. This is me. The ratio, the ratio is 3.4. As you can see, this is one test you can do, the ratio of arachidonic acid and EPA, to see you have enough fish oil in your system. Obesity also affects gut microbial environment and gut dysbiosis is the major cause. So when I do the blood testing and I found that some of my patients have ESR, high CRP without any reason, high CEA. When you have a slightly high CEA, doesn't mean you have colon cancer. It means you have inflammations in your gut and you need to treat your gut. This dysbiosis is implicated as a cause of inflammation. And when you treat, give them fish oil, treat their guts, dysbiosis, the ESR come down to normal in many cases. So you need to know that this factor is so important. I talked to you about inflammation. Now we're going to move to something called toxin in your gut. Human microbiome is the one that prevents you from toxins, from inflammations. However, don't confuse about the words microbiomes and probiotics. They can be the same or they can be different. Human microbiome in organisms that you have in your body. If it's good, they are probiotic. If it's not good, then not probiotic. It's just simply microbiome. Let me explain again. You know, our skin has something called Staphylococcus aureus, right? And you have some wound on your skin, but it never causes disease, right? Staphylococcus on your skin. Until you have some wound, you have a nails break or something, and okay, ingrow nail, and suddenly these Staphylococcus aureus cause pus and inflammations and infections. They are your microbiome. It's not probiotic, but wait to cause problem when something wrong happens, like that. Same thing, there's certain, okay, probiotic that is not microbiome. For example, there's some yeast Saccharomyces, things that people use as the anti-diarrhea drug. That's a probiotic, but it's not presenting in natural, so it's not microbiome. So microbiome is a natural bacteria, microorganisms that stay with you. And we hope that most of them are probiotics that provide benefit. For example, lactobacilli and bifidobacteriums. People ask me, do I need to take probiotics? Actually, if you eat food that contains fibers as a prebiotics, you probably don't need probiotic. If you eat food that, hate to say this, don't feel bad, food that not too clean, food that contaminated with some animal feces, you contain probiotics. You give probiotic naturally. You know, children that raised in the farm boy barely have any allergy, but the city boy always take antibiotics and eat all the clean foods, develop allergy. If you see the children on the street, do they get sick? They run on the street, they eat food from the soil, but they feel fine. They barely have any infections and they don't have allergy because they got natural microorganism from contaminated food. And that's we call immunity. So, well, probiotic is good for you, but if you want to eat, you don't want to eat dirty food, then maybe you have to eat the probiotic supplement sometimes. But prebiotic, food for probiotic is more important. So if you believe that you have enough probiotics in your gut, you don't need probiotic supplements, but you need prebiotics. But these probiotics will be destroyed when you take antibiotics. So many benefits of probiotics: antimicrobials, enhance barrier functions, immunomodulations, also making vitamins. So when some doctors say, you eat regular food, you get enough vitamins. Excuse me, your food needs to contain probiotics. Your food needs to come from the animals that have probiotics in order to get enough vitamins. A lot of vitamin is not found in our regular food, but probiotics made it. So eat your kimchi, natto, okay, any fermented food with good bacteria. We have a situation that we call microbiome dysfunction. It's called autoimmune disease. For doctors who specialize in autoimmune disease, well, conventional doctors know nothing but steroids. But we are wellness doctor and integrative doctors know that autoimmune disease, you need to supply them with probiotics. It's a gut dysbiosis that's caused autoimmune disease. It's a gut dysbiosis that probably cause lower your immunity as you got infected by COVID, which I'm going to talk about it August 16, okay? So microbiome dysfunction is the major important things that cause gut dysbiosis and cause inflammations. You have to fix your gut. How to do that? First, stop unnecessary use of antiseptic and antibiotics. not antibiotics, antiseptics. Right now, people are so afraid of COVID infections. Everywhere I go, they use Dettol, influenza, even they put antiseptic in everything, in the toothpaste, in everything. It's not preventing COVID. It lowered your immunity down. And when you expose to COVID, you get infected easier because you use too much antiseptic. Please avoid long-term use of proton pump inhibitors. We need acid in our stomach. We need acid in our stomach. Kidney need to make acid. I will talk about it in the topic of my chronic kidney disease. Proton pump inhibitors is one of the reasons that we have so many cases of kidney failure. Eat more prebiotics, which is vegetables and fibers. Eat fermented foods such as stinky cheese and natto. And if you want to take probiotic supplement, it's good for you. Okay, Ox go into 2 is toxin. It's difficult for me to tell you how to avoid toxin. We have PM 2.5 right now. We have people who smoke cigarettes in this room, or not this room right now, but everywhere we go, we find the cigarette smokers. Aluminum that we use to wrap our food, the can, is all heavy metals. I'd like to emphasize on PM 2.5 that has been around a lot lately. PM 2.5 comes with heavy metals, cadmium, mercury, lead. So heavy metal is toxicity is real. It comes in the air in the form of PM 2.5. And the study shows that, and this is one is from Tehran, this is one from China. It shows that PM 2.5 contains toxic heavy metal. And you know what? This study just come up this year and show that people who live in the environment with higher PM 2.5 has a better chance to develop chronic kidney diseases. So I don't mind if you're gonna put mask, okay, but it has to be PM 2.5 mask, okay? To avoid PM 2.5, I'm not quite afraid of COVID, but I think I'm afraid of PM 2.5. Anyway, in this room, I have an air purifier. So in my building, it's my office, I don't have PM 2.5. Okay, I take my mask off now. Okay, I think I'm safe. Okay, so air pollution is important. I'm not trying to sell you any air purifier, but it's not too bad if you have one. We have 4 in our offices. Principle of detoxifications, okay, Ox go in 2. 2 is this toxin. First, you reduce toxin accumulation by changing diet and environment. You need to make sure that you have a good liver clearance of toxins. I like to emphasize now that one toxin that you guys don't know is drug. The drugs that doctor gave you, allopathic drugs, is the most common toxin of all time. I haven't seen, okay, most people, all the people who develop chronic kidney disease, most of them has history of taking long-term use of drugs. Okay, we talk about this sometimes about the chronic kidney disease. The most common cause of chronic kidney disease is not diabetes. It's drugs, and doctors don't know. Okay, so you need to have a good liver to detoxify yourself. You need to have a vitamin B found in grains, by the way, vitamin E found in olive oil, C found in green leafy vegetables, cysteine found in spice, glutathione, glutamine, and silymarin. Glutathione, right now, I know you guys have this glutathione injection. Fine with me. So I do that too. I have glutathione injections in my clinic because it's poorly absorbed. It's required IV administrations. And somehow right now we have an oral liposome glutathione. And people actually in the clinic use glutathione to kind of increase aura of your skin. So what happened? Our skin color, okay, there's a pheomelanin and eumelanin. Okay, Asians, someone like me, like Indians, like you guys, Malaysians, have eumelanin. Someone like Caucasians, like Brett, my assistant, living in this room, he has pheomelanin, because he's white guy, he has pheomelanin. We have eumelanin. So we have a different skin color, different kinds of melanin. Glutathione will inhibit eumelanin synthesis and increase pheomelanin. So it's not like gonna make you white. It doesn't kill your melanin pigment. It switches the form of melanin to make you look like a Caucasian. This is a funny thing though. Asian people, Asian girls want to have a skin like white girls, and white girls try to have a dark skin like Asian girls. Well, we know we never were born as the way we want. So love who we are. So the reason they give glutathione is for liver detoxifications, not to change the color of your skin. Okay? We are who we are. We are who we are. Remember that. Glutathione is a good thing. It's a good antioxidant. Okay? Glutathione in the reduced form is a one molecule, and with the enzyme called glutathione peroxidase, it changes hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygens using the enzyme called glutathione peroxidase that requires selenium. And then glutathione becomes oxidized. Two molecules will form together with disulfide bond. It can recycle if you have enzyme called glutathione reductase, and the cofactor for it is vitamin B2, riboflavin. So it's a cycle of glutathione peroxidase and reductase, part of the antioxidant system. But glutathione also detoxifications proteins in the liver. All of us need to have glutathione, okay? To take the oral form, I recommend that you take N-acetylcysteine. You don't have to take N-acetylcysteine every day. Usually when people take drugs, I will ask them to start taking N-acetylcysteine to make sure that they have enough glutathione to detoxify the drugs from their liver. Gut detoxification start with your diet, prebiotic, probiotics, and don't underestimate the importance of digestive enzymes. The problem about digestive enzyme available in Thailand in the regular pharmacy store is it can digest only protein, fat, and carbohydrate. It's something we don't need. Enzymes, we already have enough amylase, protease, and lipase. What we don't have in our guts is lactase that we need to digest lactose from milk, right? That's why a lot of people, when they drink milk, they have diarrhea because it contains lactose. We need lactase. And when we eat fibers, I told you to eat a lot of fibers, but sometimes we cannot digest fibers. We need our probiotics to digest these fibers. So that's why people who don't have probiotics in their guts, people who don't have enough gut microbiomes, when they eat vegetables, they don't like it because they have a stomach bloating. Why? Because they cannot digest cellulase, pectinase. So enzyme should provide pectinase, cellulase. Bromelain is the enzyme from pineapples available in Thailand. So digestive enzyme should be complete, and it's important for gut detoxification. Another way to detoxify your body. Oh, by the way, let me talk about a little bit about lactase. You know, for someone who cannot drink milk because they are lactose intolerant, and for you who are lactose intolerant but want to drink milk, then you start buying something called lactose-free milk. Lactose-free milk is not sugar-free milk. You have to understand. Lactose is disaccharides. When and the way they make lactose-free milk, they put lactase into it. So that one molecule of lactose disaccharide become one molecule of glucose and one molecule of galactose. So lactose-free milk means you drink galactose and glucose. So it's not healthy milk. It's also contains sugar. I think even worse sugar is called glucose. Okay, understand that. But why drink milk if you can drink water? Drink 8 glasses of water every day, help remove toxin naturally to your kidney. However, I want to emphasize, okay, I told you about oxgo in 2, and now we try to drink water to remove 2 or toxin. But the next factor I'm going to talk about is an acid. water help remove toxins to your kidney. But if you drink wrong kind of water, then you provide your body with acid. And acid is one of the aging factors that we need to avoid. So let's understand acidic water. What is acidic water? I do this my own study. It hasn't been published because it's so simple. Measure pH of this beverage. Start by soft drink. Okay, soft drink, pH 2.3. Good enough to clean your toilet. 2.3 is delicious, right? But pH 2.3, you kill yourself by doing that. It causes acidosis. What about red wine? Red wine is 3.3. But the good things about red wine is called contain fruit acid. And fruit acid, like citrus, I'm gonna explain it later, is alkaline. Beer is 4 point something. And reverse osmosis water is pH only 5.9. It's acidic water. Reverse osmosis water is an acidic water. Only people who can drink reverse osmosis water, if the area you live in is your water is contained with the heavy metals, you want to make sure that water is so clean, then you need to use reverse osmosis water. But how can you fix that? How can you fix pH 5.9? I'm going to show you later. But when you drink reverse osmosis water, you need to add mineral on your own. You need to eat more grains. You need to eat cashew nuts. You need to eat almonds, okay, walnuts, to make sure you provide yourself with minerals if you drink reverse osmosis water. There are pictures, something like this, available in the certain store. You pour reverse osmosis water in, and it came out alkaline because this pitcher contains carbons and everything, and also minerals. So this is one way to turn reverse osmosis water into alkaline water for you. But if you can purchase real alkaline water, like what I'm doing here, I'm going to drink natural mineral water. Okay, natural mineral water I'm drinking right now is alkaline. Okay, all natural mineral water is alkaline. The difference is, if it's a glass bottle, like the last pictures on the right, it can keep CO2 better. Sparkling water, natural water, also alkaline. So if you want to buy natural mineral water, you should buy it in the glass bottle. It can save, the pH will be higher than plastic bottle. It is safe too. You don't have to drink from the plastic. You can buy from the glass bottle. Some people have a mineral added water, just like the filter system I showed you in the previous slide. Or underground water. In Thailand, we have something called sing soda and chang soda. They use underground water to make soda water. They are also alkaline. Adding carbon dioxide, CO2 into your water doesn't make it alkaline. But because the water that used to make soda water are underground water, that's why they are alkaline. And also in Thailand, we have a water purifier system. Okay, I have both of them. One is called Clean Sui and the one is called Kangen. And now there's so many commercial water purifier systems that advertises alkaline water. You can use that as well. Because low-grade acidosis is one cause of so many diseases. And the one that you fear the most is chronic kidney failure. I'm going to talk about, okay, in a few months' time. But you need to understand the words acidosis and acidemia. It's not the same, okay? Acidosis means the process that trends towards acidemia. The body will not allow us to develop acidemia. First, we have buffer in our system called bicarbonate buffer. Bicarbonate will buffer acidosis for you. Second, the body will use the bone. It's the reason why people who eat acid food has a higher chance of develop osteoporosis. So actually, people who are vegetarians have a less chance of develop osteoporosis. And actually, studies show that milk doesn't help your bone from breaking. People who drink more milk have a better chance to have more fracture because milk is acid food. All right. So after the body uses bicarbonate in the blood using bone, the kidney will make ammonia. Kidney has to make harder to secrete acid out in the form of ammonia. And ammonia is toxic to the kidney. And finally, your lung has to breathe harder. It never go that far. You never develop acidemia when you eat a lot of acid food, steak and meal, steak and beer. Why? Because the body uses these mechanisms to combat acidosis that you put in your body, but at what cost? Eventually, your organs start to fail. Eventually, the cancer will grow. So you need to understand alkaline food and acid food. You need to do less acid food and more alkaline food. In other words, alkaline foods are vegetables and fruits. Spice, grains, soy-grown vegetables, vinegar, and citrus fruit. When I come to this point, everyone will ask, how come citric acid and vinegar are alkaline? You measure pH, it's acidic, right? Lime, lemon, supposed to be acid. Vinegar, supposed to be acid. pH only 2.5 something. How come these food are alkaline food? Okay, there's a four weak acids that are alkaline because these acids can go into Krebs cycles and switch into bicarbonate. So food that when you measure pH is acidic can become alkaline. These four acids are: first, lactate; second, citrate; third, acetate; and fourth, ketone or acetoacetate. Okay, let me repeat: lactate, citrate, acetate, and ketone or acetoacetate. They are all alkaline because it can be switched into bicarbonate. Lactate, lactic acidosis, such as when you take metformin, are alkaline. Lactic acidosis, that when you exercise, when you take a break, lactic acidosis under the process of oxygenation, it will switch to alkaline. So exercise is good. Citrate can be switched into alkaline, so you can drink juice with citrus fruit, no problem, they are alkaline. Vinegar, apple ciders, and balsamics, they are acetic acid. They're alkaline because acetic acid can enter Krebs cycle and you will make bicarbonate out of it. And eventually everybody know that ketone, if you give it time, it can switch into bicarbonate. So let me repeat: lactate, acetate, citrate, and acetoacetate or ketones are bicarbonate precursors. That's the reason that these four acids are actually alkaline food. Metabolic acidosis is the one that induces kidney injury. And to make it worse, proton pumps inhibitor drug can cause metabolic acidosis. And there's so many studies prove that proton pump inhibitor is one of the cause of chronic kidney diseases. How to combat it? I always talk about supplement, right? I talk about caloric restriction and introduce you resveratrol, talking about advanced glycation end product and introduce to you benfotiamine and pyridoxamine. Inflammations, I tell you about fish oil, okay? And here, acidosis. Baking soda, very simple. You can use baking soda, put it in your drink and add some lime. This is to combat your acid. And if you come to my meeting called Heat Anti-Aging in Bangkok, we have this baking soda, delicious baking soda in the sachet available that I call it yes, okay? And I see you there. In Thailand, we also have a baking soda tablet that we call soda mint. It's very cheap. I can take it 4 tablets in the morning and 4 tablets in the evening. We talked to you before about the effect of oxgo into acid and eventually stress. And the result of oxgo into acid stress is can cause mitochondria dysfunctions, apoptosis, telomere shortenings, and cellular senescence. And then eventually, I talk about next time, it's called mutations of cancer. Telomere at the end of chromosome. You need to have long enough telomere for the body to keep going. But turns out that when we older, the body cannot fix itself because our cell have something called cellular senescence, telomere shortenings. I showed you before that cellular senescence is two. It happens when we older, and it can be prevented by fish oil, right? It also can be prevented by vitamin D. Why we need to have cellular senescence? Because in cells that's sick, it's supposed to stop dividing. Because sick cell, if you keep dividing, mutate cell, if you keep dividing, it becomes cancer cell. Cellular senescence is the mechanism of our body to prevent cancer. So when the cells mutate, there's a mutation in the cell tell themselves, don't divide because you will divide it into cancer. So the cancer has the trick to avoid cellular senescence by developing mutations to start making something called telomerase enzyme. Telomerase enzyme found in stem cell and cancer cells in order to keep it going, because if you have cellular senescence and telomere shortening, the cell will stop dividing. And turns out that people have telomere shortening sooner than usual. Usually our telomere shortening should come at when we reach 100 years old, not 40 or 50 years old. These factors are stress, poor diet, chronic inflammations, sedentary lifestyle, obesity, smoking. And the studies show if you want to extend your telomere, you need to have vitamin D, you need to have fish oil, and when it's time comes, you need to use something that Dr. Selvam is the expert. It's called bioidentical hormone treatment to extend your telomere. Okay, so aging, when you age, your hormone decline. You need to keep it up to keep your telomere length going. Okay, so telomere length is so important. You need to have it. And it shows that these studies is elegant studies. They measure telomere length from the white blood cells of mother who have chronic illness child. Imagine if you are parents who have a chronic illness child. You have a chronic disease, children with asthma, and it turns out that it shows that the telomere length of these mothers, the longer the child has chronic illness, the telomere of the mother keeps shorter and shorter and shorter because of the stress, because the love this mother has for her child, has for her children. And also severity of the disease. If the child has just asthma, the telomere length is shortening. But if the children has a chronic form of cancer, the mother telomere length will be even shorter. It proved the stress can cause your telomere to be shortened faster. And another elegant studies from the Nobel Prize winners shown that meditation can help keep your telomere long and young, because after all, stress is our cause of disease. It causes cancer, it causes fibromyalgia, hypertension, it weakens your immunity. So if you're so afraid of COVID, so afraid of it, I'm sorry, you have a better chance to get COVID because you so stressful. You need to sleep. Important of sleep is to reduce body stress. So we have cortisol in the morning, melatonin in the evening. We call circadian rhythm. We need supposed to wake up in the morning and sleep well at night. The biochemistry of melatonin starts with the tryptophan, which is an amino acid, switch to 5-HTP. Then it switched to serotonin that requires SAHAMM, by the way, and then switch to melatonin. But some of you have just young and not stressful, but because you work shift or whatever, have problem with sleepiness, and just like me, you can do only melatonin, low dose is enough. But if you are stressful, sometimes melatonin will not reduce stress. You need serotonin, and supplement to enhance your serotonin production is called 5-HTP, 5-hydroxytryptophan. Why not taking tryptophan? Because tryptophan is not stable. You need to take tryptophan that in a steady form that's called 5-HTP. Melatonin is a circadian rhythm regulators and more. It's the anti-proliferative effect for cancer. So it means all of my patients who have cancer will need melatonin low dose. It enhances immune response. It's a powerful antioxidant as well. It regulates aging and autophagy. I come to the conclusions of this talk. As you can see, ox go into acid and stress. It's the major 6 aging forces that make us old, and it causes mitochondria decay, apoptosis, telomere shortenings, and mutations. And I hope you stay positive, especially during this situation, because optimism is important to have good longevity. The study have shown that happy older people live longer. And I want to stay like that, but I'm not going to call myself happy older people. I will call myself happy always young people live longer and live happily too. I cannot tell you how to combat your stress. Each individual have their own ways of relieving stress. Some people use meditations, some people use exercise and sports. To me, I love music and movies. I love music and movies is the way to relieve stress for me. Exercise is good too. Travel, some people love travel. And one thing I love to relieve stress is I have a good friendship. Stress relief technique have to be safe, by the way. So I say when I'm stressed, taking antidepressant is not the right way to relieve stress. When I'm stressed, I drink alcohol. That's a bad way of relieve stress. So stress relieving technique has to be safe. You need to have a good nighttime sleep. You can use melatonin, 5-HTP, or meditations. You need to learn to live with yourself, and you need to learn to live with others. They come hands in hand. I hate myself, by the way. I know a lot of people hate me, but I learned to live myself for a long time now, and I learned to live with other people. In order to do so, I need to learn how to give and share and have a good friendship. That's why I set up Heat Anti-Aging Congress and meeting, and once Dr. Selwyn was invited to see me, and you know, it's a good friendship. All those 3 days make my telomere longer already. And always try to be positive. You know, COVID is sad stories, but I try to be positive about it. I try to look forward. As I try to tell myself that actually during the COVID time, PN 2.5 is much less. So try to be positive is so important. And here you are, 6 biological aging forces that we can avoid, not completely, but try to cut it down. Okay, let me repeat for 1,000 times. Ox go into acid and stress. Oxidation, glycation, inflammations, toxin, acidosis, and stress. To avoid that, you need to have these last slide to remind you. When I told my patients that I'm not your best doctor, I cannot help you if you don't listen, if you don't change your lifestyles. So my last words, the best doctors for you is yourself. Thank you so much for listening. ขอบคุณมากครับ And then we will prepare for the answering your questions, Q&A, okay?
We'll take some questions now. For those of you who have any questions to Dr. Patana.
Yes, can I ask a question?
Do you have a questions handy or is in here? No, because I'm not sure I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Help me a little bit.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I start first. I have two questions, Dr. Patana. So you have defined aging is the disease from the beginning, then related to some chronic illnesses. Now the problem is as a physician, we see patient every day. So if we define aging is the disease, then when we start to treat, okay? Because we start aging around 20, 35, start aging already. So until 60, 70, okay? So what is your treatment protocol for treating aging? Okay, when you start to treat, or you treat related diseases, or just treat the patient come to see, I want anti-aging. I mean, what they mean is I want to be healthy, okay? I want to prevent from diseases. Then how do you define your goal of treatment? And what is your treatment protocol? How long would you give your treatment, right? So that's one. Another thing, for what we learned in the past about aging, the very important key things is vitamin C. And I think you seem to miss the part because you think vitamin C is not taken into the mitochondria, which is, I think, is not true. I think vitamin C can go inside the mitochondria by either passive and active transport, by those sodium-dependent vitamin C transport and glucose transporter. So I think vitamin C play a very key role in aging. From all your 6 key points are all included in vitamin C. This one. Another thing about the anti-aging, besides vitamin C, another key thing is stem cells. Can you make a comment? Right? So 2 questions, you just briefly to answer. Thank you.
Okay, you hear me, right? There's 3 questions. The first one is quite long. Okay, when you're gonna start treating aging, and when, what is my protocol? Okay, and how long? Well, the last question is the easiest one, the how long? For the rest of our life, I guess, because aging is a chronic process. It's happening and it will going and going. So when I'm gonna start doing the anti-aging medicines, it depends on the patient's need, okay? I'm not gonna wait until they have chronic illness, but you cannot tell young people and try to prevent anti-aging and try to give them anti-aging medicine because they will not listen. So usually the good time to have anti-aging protocol is the patient themselves feel like they start to look older, getting older, and they try to talk to us. And usually the age about 30 something. But if they have the chronic disease, that means they have far advanced aging, but they don't know it's a true cause of chronic illness. Aging is a true cause of chronic illness. I always combine anti-aging medicine method into, I'm a doctor's internist, by the way, I'm a nephrologist. I mix the anti-aging method into my conventional ways of treating the chronic illness patients. And actually, by doing that, my patients can cut down the amount of medications they're taking. Some of them even cure from diabetes and chronic kidney disease and all that. So I will start when they want me to start, but if they start to have certain detections of evidence of aging, for example, higher hemoglobin A1C, higher uric acid, fatty livers, and so on, okay? You don't have to have a full-blown disease. I will start treatment. My protocol, besides I've tried to talk about oxgo into acid stress, it starts by education and nutrients is important. I will provide them with the supplement. At a certain age, I will provide them with hormone. I also, before do hormone, I will ask them to do chelations and detoxification. And eventually, if the patient has money, stem cell treatment is essential. Because I know that because I have a stem cell injections every year, but that's a different topics. I have injection, I have stem cell injection every year for the past 10 years. And I know that it has a positive result. The second question is vitamin C. Yes, I agree that vitamin C is important. And you believe that vitamin C can enter the mitochondria by diffusion is true, but not that effective. The reason I want to say is I'm taking so many combinations of antioxidants. Vitamin C is one of them because vitamin C is good for immunity, is the help chelations and detoxifications, and help making collagens for your skin. But I think we need more than one good antioxidants. So I take lipoic acid as well. And you know, vitamin C, when it gets oxidized, it's gone quickly. Lipoic acid will help regenerate vitamin C. So it's not like vitamin C is unimportant, but you need more than vitamin C to prevent aging. So you need coenzyme Q10, vitamin C, lipoic acid, and everything hands in hand, astaxanthin, tocotrienol all together. Yes, and the stem cell treatment, that's another lectures. And actually in Thailand, we have a stem cell aesthetic workshop, and I can show you in details that how can I use stem cell treatment for myself when they're talking about the real stem cell that called mesenchymal stromal cells and growth factors for these stem cells. I've been using that for, I think, the past 10 years, okay? But I don't want to use myself as a standard though, but if you see me 10 years ago, I look much older. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Dr. Patana? Yeah, thank you. I would like to ask your opinion on metformin. A few years ago, I think we have very high hope for this drug as the anti-aging drug. But recently, there are a few articles which, well, it says that it upregulates the dormant breast cancer cells. And the other thing is, there's an article, I think that when you give metformin in late life in old people, older persons, then they say the cells are already not able to upregulate the glycolysis. And in response of this, of course, there's the cell, there will be an ATP exhaustion, and this will shorten the life of the cell. Is that true, or what is your opinion on that?
Okay. The practical way, the way I use metformin, I don't use high dose metformin, and I don't use it in the patients who have low hemoglobin A1C. So people who use metformin to me has to have hemoglobin A1C at least 5.9%. It's not like everyone can take metformin to me because the side effect is like slightly symptoms of hypoglycemia. Regarding the unresponsiveness to metformin and breast cancer, then I have to go back to the subject of sarcopenia. When you are older, all the cells, you know, you have the cellular effect of aging. So metformin alone will no longer work because you have inability to repair yourself. We call frailty, sarcopenia, and part of it, why all metformin thing doesn't work in older, very older people, because you no longer have growth hormones. The growth hormones and growth factors gone is the one cause of frailties and sarcopenias in people who over 85 years old. I have many of them. To do that, what I'm doing to the old people who have diabetes who over 85, I don't have growth hormone in Thailand. Actually, we have growth hormone peptide, but it's kind of expensive. I'm not sure about the result. So what I use as the alternative of growth hormone, you may be surprised, I use insulin injections, especially in diabetic patients. I've been taking care of a lot of aging diabetes. When they have diabetes for a long time, they get skinny and skinnier. They have sarcopenia and frailty. They have slightly high blood sugar, even though they barely eat anything. Because their pancreas beta cell is now gone. Metformin will not work in this group of patients. They need insulin. And when you start insulin, small dose, the patient feel like, oh God, I thought I've been dying and now I reborn. Now I can eat. Now I can have a life again. But you have to be careful about the side effect of insulin, which is hypoglycemia. So I usually do only 5 units of mixed 70-30 insulin once a day, okay, for prevention and treatment of sarcopenia. So yes, metformin is benefit in younger people who have higher A1C, but when you super old and it's difficult to stimulate of anything, you need growth factors such as insulin, growth hormone, if you have one, and answer to the previous questions. That's why you need stem cells. And these patients, if they have money, they ask me, doctor, can you provide me stem cells and stem cell growth factors? Yes. Hope that answered the questions.
Yes, thank you. Just one short question.
Mr. Yes, Sophian, can we give others a chance, please?
Okay.
Mr. Sophian? Dr. Freddy?
I need to
Dr.
ask
Freddy,
you.
you've got a question?
No, just to clarify, you always measure the HbA1c first before you introduce the metformin?
Correct. Because like I tell you, even though the side effect of metformin is little, but it can have a hypoglycemic symptoms. And besides, I don't believe that metformin has benefit in people who have low A1C, people who already practice intermittent fasting, caloric restrictions. Someone like me don't need metformin because my hemoglobin, I do intermittent fasting, my hemoglobin A1C only 5.2, 5.1. I don't think I need hemoglobin A1C to be less than 5. Okay, so in certain patients, they don't need metformin. I rather do A1C first to make it safe. By the way, if they need metformin, they want something for the caloric restrictions, but their A1C is low, like me, I use resveratrol instead. Kind of side effect free.
Next is Dr. Maya, you've got a question?
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Patana, I have a question, or actually two. First is regarding the safe use of statin, because at first when I joined statin, at first when I joined anti-aging, I'm rather not giving statin to my patient because of all the side effects. But now it turns that statin do have benefits. Yeah, it should be increasing the telomere and many other benefits. How now we should behave to our patient who already under statin? And second, I'm interested in the last question from Dr. Freddy and your answer regarding insulin and frailty and older people. What is the dose if the person is old? Yeah. And combined with growth hormone, we do have growth hormone, and should I give extra insulin a bit, or alternate, or what to do? Thank you.
Let me the two questions. The first questions need longer answers, so I will answer later. The second question is shorter. It's about continue from my answer that I use insulin instead of growth hormone because I don't have growth hormone. I mean, we have growth hormone, but the law doesn't allow us to use growth hormone in Thailand unless you are pediatricians. All right. But if you have both, what to choose? If the blood sugar is high, choose insulin. If the blood sugar is low, choose growth hormone because growth hormone increase blood sugar, insulin lower blood sugar. I don't use both. Okay. Growth hormone increase blood sugar. So if the blood sugar is rather low in aging people, use growth hormone. But if the patients already have diabetes, slightly high blood sugar, use insulin and use it for frailty people. You should measure IGF-1 level to prove that the IGF-1 level is low. And usually when people have an IGF-1 low, you can tell because they're so frail, they barely have muscles, and some people cannot even walk. Okay, so that's the answer. Blood sugar high, use insulin. Blood sugar low, use growth hormone. Go to the first question about statin. This is the entire lectures, and you can check it out. We have NCD seminars, by the way, in the heatantiaging.com that we show at the end of the slides and on every slide. By the way, to make the long story short, we have statin. The question is, once in the lifetime of every audience in this room, you will be asked by your doctor that you need to take statin, myself included. What to answer, yes or no? So you need to measure the benefit and risk. If you think the benefit of statin is higher, then you use statin. But if the risk is higher, don't use statin. I'm gonna tell you how to measure benefit and risk. Okay? If you're a woman without any risk of developing stroke or heart attack, I don't think high cholesterol alone is not a good indication for using statin. The study shows that older people, especially in women, the lower LDL cholesterol, the higher mortality. Older people need LDL. And in ladies, the lower LDL increased chances of intracerebral hemorrhage, which is right now has become the most common cause of death in women, in senile women in Asia. You know, Asian women, Asian people have less risk of develop thrombosis. By taking statin to lower LDL, you increase the chance of intracerebral hemorrhage. So if you're a woman, I don't think you need statin unless you have heart attack, you have a stroke, then you have no choice but take statin. But regular women, just because you owe a slightly high cholesterol, please do not take statin. Men are different. Men have more chance of thrombotic stroke and heart disease, less chance of hemorrhagic stroke. So men have a less chance of develop statin. But anyway, problems. But anyway, the problem statin usually come when you use combination of statin and other drugs. Statin with fibrates, statin with antifungals, because it will compete in terms of metabolisms and increase the statin toxicity. So you need to make sure when you take statin, you don't take a lot of drugs together with statin, which is difficult. So to me, to determine that who needs statin, who don't need statin, first, I ask the history. If they have a history of stroke, bypass surgery, balloon angioplasty, they need statin. History of a heavy smoker for 20 years, they probably need statin. But the one I use the most is CT scan system that we call calcium score. Coronary artery calcification. If I see a lot of calcified plaque over 200, I probably prescribe statin, all right? But if calcium score, just like myself, calcium score is 0 for the past 10 years, 0. I don't have calcified plaque on my arteries of heart artery, coronary artery at all. I don't need statin, even though my LDL is slightly high because I'm a very stressful person, you see. All right, I don't need statin, my calcification score is 0. So I use calcium score quite a lot to determine who needs statin, who doesn't need statin. But if they already have angioplasty, history of stroke, they need statin. Next, how to prescribe statin and make it safe. Usually I use rosuvastatin, which is the most toxic statin, but I prescribe it only twice or 3 times a week. I don't like, actually I force my patients, don't take rosuvastatin every year. It will cause complications. Take it 3 times a week. And in my hands for over 10 years, I prescribe rosuvastatin, even patients who has chronic kidney disease, twice a week, 3 times a week. I can control LDL and at the same time never had any complication from statin. So that's my technique. Oh, by the way, to support my technique, so I searched in articles and I saw something called Prada studies, okay, just like the brand name bag, Prada, Prada, search it, Prada and rosuvastatin. That's why I follow that. They use rosuvastatin on alternate day and found that it can control blood cholesterol just fine. And to me, 3 times a week is enough, and I don't have to worry about complication from statin. So I hope that answered the questions.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else has got questions?
Yes, can I ask a question, Dr. Sati?
Yes, please.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Patana. It's a very interesting presentations. Thanks a lot. As we know that telomere shortening can definitely induce the cellular senescence, okay? And as you mentioned before, that we can use autophagy mechanisms to get rid of this cellular senescence. By intermittent fasting 16 hours, do you think it's enough to really achieve this autophagy stage? Or we need prolonged fasting, let's say 2 days? That's my first question. The second question is, with regards to telomere management, which is the best strategy? Maintaining or lengthening the telomere using telomerase enzyme, or slowing down the rate of telomere shortening itself? Which one is the best strategy? Thank you.
Okay, the first question is intermittent fasting 16 hours you think is enough? And the second question is to maintain telomere length. There's 2 ways. One is to prevent telomere shortening, and the second one is enhance telomere lengthening by using telomerase enzyme. Okay, answer the first questions. Intermittent fasting 16 hours is enough. I think definitely the longer maybe the better, but depends on patients. Okay, 16 hours, if you do it a lot, like me, 3 years, 5 days a week for 3 years, I think I find that it's enough. Okay, I send my, by the way, to do the telomere length, you need some techniques that is the available in Spain. It's called life length techniques, by the way, not just the PCR thing, because it's barely changed anything. And I find that it's satisfying by using the 16 hours, but you have to do it continually. But if you are super overweight, 24 hours is better. However, it's so difficult to do. So any practice that you advise and the patients cannot do, then it's useless. You cannot tell them to do 48 hours if they cannot do 24 hours. And you cannot ask them to do 24-hour fasting if they cannot do 16 hours. So I think we have to choose the patients who have compliance. And if they can do 16 hours, I bargain even 14 hours or at least 12 hours. Okay, so the best I can do. And usually, like I said, I add some supplements, so it helps in terms of weight loss. And the second question in terms of telomere length, I prefer preventions. I prefer preventions because that's a concept of anti-aging medicines. So all these factors prevent ox go into acid stress can help maintain telomere length. How to increase telomere length by using telomerase enzymes? Right now, there's a supplement, as everybody know, that very and super expensive that claim to increase telomere length. But you know, the effectiveness is slim compared to lifestyle change. So just like drugs, lifestyle change always beat every drug hand down. So to answer the questions, how to increase telomere length, lifestyle changes. And actually to increase telomere length, okay, I told you before, bioidentical hormone treatment. And I found that placenta extract can increase telomere length as well, and it's cheaper.
Okay, we've got time for one more question. Dr. Patana, are you okay with one more question?
Yes,
Anyone else has
please.
questions?
I never thought I would enjoy this session so much. I learned from you as
Anyone
well.
else?
Thank you. I learned from the audience as well. I always learn from
Can
friends.
I ask one more questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, Dr.
Okay.
Patana, when you touch on loss of proteostasis, okay, with regards to protein misfolding, okay, you mentioned that we can use autophagy or autophagic pathway to get rid of this misfolded protein, okay? And we can as well refolded this unperfect misfolded protein using heat shock proteins, okay? With regards to heat shock proteins, which one you recommend? Hot sauna, cold thermogenesis, or other techniques that you think quite effective for this case? And
I never use that technique because, like you, I live in Thailand. We have heat shock proteins all the time. It's extremely hot. I know that some clinic has something called heat therapies. Okay, but I think the best method of increased heat in your body is endurance exercise. Go and exercise, heavy exercise. Your body will be heating up. Yes. So, but you do intermittent fasting. You do only light exercise, and when you start eating, do heavy exercise, and that's you can have both realignment of your protein unfoldings again. Okay, that's my technique. Exercise in combined with intermittent fasting. But sorry, I'm. You can do sauna, but it's impractical in the clinic. Certain clinic has the way of inject something to increase heat, but I don't think it's safe or whatever. And in Thailand, this is Thailand, people don't like it. Okay, people probably don't like it to make them heat up or something. ไม่ใช่ it's not Scandinavian like that.
Okay, I think that's the last of the questions. Dr. Patana, Dato, would you like to end the session?
Yes, Sati. Thank you, Dr. Patana. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Hope we can meet soon to have more conferences or at least webinar teaching. And thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very enjoyable. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you. ขอบคุณมากครับ
Thank you. Next webinar, Sati, you want to make the announcement?
Yes, it's next Saturday, and the time is switched back to 8 p.m. Malaysian time, and 7 p.m. In Jakarta and Cambodian time. The speaker will be Dr. Ron Hutchinson.
Okay.
I will send the links to the nearer the conference date. I mean the webinar date. All right. Okay. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining in.
Good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Good night, Dr. Patana.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Root of them.